We are going to break down all of our Thursday night football data, coverage data, run scheme data, pass chart data. We're going to go through all of that, get informed or as informed as possible on receiving projections, rushing projections, passing projections, and basically walk you guys through how I get all my information to make these projections. Right now, we're 13-5 with the player projections, which is pretty good. Last week, as we get more data, we hope to get better. Last week was our best week yet. We were 7-1, and the only one that did not hit was, unfortunately, that damn Dalton Kincaid game where he had over 2/3 of his yards at halftime, and the Bills started to blow him out and ran away from the pass game. Besides the point, we're going to go break down all this data. Again, if you guys are watching on the socials, to my left, to my right, click the link in my bio. Join my YouTube live. We are breaking down all the Thursday night football data you need to know. You just got to subscribe to be able to watch it. So I am going to go through and break down all of the Thursday night football data. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the New York Jets offense. Then we're going to move to the New England Patriots defense, then Patriots offense, then Jets defense. We'll go pass game, then run game for each team. Without further ado, though, I'm going to get into this. So I will share my screen on YouTube as soon as I pull up the data for you guys. So I will share my screen right now on YouTube. Appreciate you guys hopping in on the YouTube as well. So the way I like to start this, okay, you can see, perfect. The way I like to start this is looking at target percentage. So we are going to start with the Patriots defense, then the Jets offense. I misspoke. So the New England Patriots right now, you can see them right here, number 8. You look at their target percentages across each category. You look at what sticks out right now. Very, very minimal tight end targets. Now, again, if you guys see me writing stuff down, I'm just writing stuff down on my whiteboard. Minimal tight end targets, but minimal inline tight end targets, but very, very high slot targets. So I'm going to sort this by percentage here. So the New England Patriots have the 4th highest target rate allowed to the opposing slot. 4th highest target rate allowed to the opposing slot. The only teams that are more are Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, and you guys know I rode the slot routes in that game last time. It did really, really well for us. Then the Atlanta Falcons, a little bit of a lean for Sunday Night Football. Got to remember that. But New England Patriots, 4th highest slot target rate in the NFL. And looking at back target, they actually look decently high too. Maybe not as high as I thought. Right in the middle, so nothing to really write home about with back target. Inline target, they are actually the lowest in the NFL. So I personally don't like to pick lower than projections or less than projections. It's no fun. So I'm not even going to mess around with that. But wide targets, probably towards the bottom, 20. So realistically, the pass game right now, the way to lean against the New England Patriots, at least for the first 2 weeks, is that slot wide receiver area. So what we do now, we go to receiving, we look at routes run, and we go to the New York Jets, because you can often assume that certain players run routes from the slot. You can say, oh, this guy is a slot receiver, but I'd say a third of the time you don't check, you guess wrong, because teams use different players in different ways. So what we're going to do right now is go to the Jets. So you look at the overall routes run, right? 57 for Garrett Wilson, 50 for Allen Lazard, 47 for Tyler Conklin, 40 for Breece Hall, then Xavier Gibson and Mike Williams. But I'm going to check really quick, though. I want to see Mike Williams' route participation in week 2, because I think it went up. So he had 22 overall. How many did he have in week 2? 18. So the majority of his routes came in week 2, which is good to know for Mike Williams, just for general stuff. But we will go back to this. So slot routes. My guess is it's going to be Garrett Wilson towards the top just because he runs so many routes. But here's what's really interesting, guys. Here it is. Tyler Conklin leads the entire Jets offense with the most routes run from the slot. So that's 26 routes. Oh, I'm writing down the wrong thing. But Tyler Conklin leads the Jets offense in slot routes run with 26. And then let's see his yards per out run, targets per out run. He's running routes from the slot over 50% of the time, which is also huge to note. Good to know, though. He has one target, only targeted once from the slot, and he didn't catch the ball. So he's 0 yards per out run. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. You really, really do. Got to take that with a grain of salt. Garrett Wilson's at 22 or 21, excuse me. So looking at that and looking at the Patriots secondary, are they going to travel Gonzalez with him? That's the question. I don't know. That is something I got to look up to. But Wilson has the second most routes from the slot on the Jets. And then, what's really interesting here, though, here's where we're going to dive deeper in. This is why, like, those of you guys who are live on YouTube right now, number one, I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. But why I want to dive deep in here, because you look at Allen Lazard, 19 routes from the slot in the first 2 weeks. I wonder if his slot route rate went up because Mike Williams played more snaps. So I'm going to go look at week 2. Look at week 2 slot. Yeah, so 12 of his 19 routes from the slot came in week 2. Mike Williams had more routes than him on the outside in week 2. So what I'm starting to look at here now, Mike Williams is stepping in and is playing more snaps. 83% of those routes that he ran are on the outside, out wide. Allen Lazard, 12 of his 19 total routes from the slot came in the second week. Definitely something to note. And I think now after a bad week, Lazard might be the way to go. So Allen Lazard, 12 of 19 in week 2 with Williams going up. So that's good to know. So right now you look at the slot stuff. I would have to look at their projections. And again, that's why you guys got to make sure you're following on the socials. If you guys are looking at yes, we were talking about the projections for Thursday Night Football. If you guys are on TikTok or on Instagram right now, click the link in my bio and join the YouTube live so you can see me break down all of these numbers right in front of you. But that is part of the reason we do this. We get a head start on all this stuff. So that to me is probably the reason why Lazard ran more routes from the slot, because Mike Williams played a lot more. And I'm just going to look up the snap count in a different browser for you guys. I'm not going to pull it up. I'm just going to look it up really quickly, looking at the Jets snap count, because I think just to a blind eye, that's obviously what happened. But yeah, so Mike Williams went from playing 9 snaps to 37. Lazard actually played 4 less, but he played pretty much the same from week 1 to week 2. So Lazard sliding him inside with Mike Williams back. So when you look at the Patriots allowing the highest slot target rate in the NFL, I think it's Allen Lazard we look at. Although I did see somebody 30 receiving yards. Okay, that's not bad. I appreciate you, Evan. Yeah, I did see this 0.5 first quarter yards, which is referring to Tyler Conklin. I do like that. And again, all my official stuff, guys, will be out on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok tomorrow. Like, that's when all the official projections will come out. But good to know. So pass game, Patriots defense, slot for the Patriots defense. Okay. Now let's go to the Patriots rush defense. So we will go to rushing defense right here. So my guess, like, I haven't seen anything wildly efficient from the running backs, at least to the eye test that I've seen against the Patriots. So I don't think that, I don't know. I don't think necessarily that this is an area I'm going to want to lean. Granted, it's Breece Hall. So it's important to know. Hold on, let me remove this really quick. It's important to know that because it's Breece Hall and because it's an elite back, like, you kind of lean heavily towards higher than with these projections. But I do think it is worth a look to see how the Jets run the ball. And I talked about it at the very beginning of the live stream, where the advantages are there, how they feel about that. Let me reshare my screen here. But I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt here. Okay, so you look at overall yards per carry. New England Patriots, 3.31. So nothing there. But you go look at specifically scheme-wise. Do they have any big success rate in any area? Let's see. Zone concepts, less than a 50% success rate. 50%, whatever, dude. I don't know. 3.5 yards per carry, 3.44 yards per carry in man gap. Look, anytime it's less than 4 yards a carry in either of these schematic things, I'm staying away. So I'm not even going to look at Brees Hall, at least with the rushing yards. So now I think you push away. We'll go look at the Jets. I don't think the Jets are wildly efficient in either of these rushing categories, but we will go look really quick just to confirm. But right now, because the Patriots' rush defense is so good, I'm going to stay away from that. Let's check out overall yards per carry. The New York Jets. Just saw him. Maybe I didn't. New York Jets 3.93. Are they running anything more than the other schematically? Pretty even, just over 4 yards a carry in zone, just over 4.2 yards a carry in man gap. So it's a mediocre rush offense against a good rush defense. Personally, again, like I told you guys, I don't bet the less than. I don't do that. That's no fun. If you really want to get strategic with it, go ahead. Especially when you look at a star like Brees Hall, I'm not even gonna even play around with that. But I am leaning away from the run game for the New York Jets, leaning towards the pass game for the New York Jets. I think that's where they have the advantage anyways. Also, another very interesting thing to note about this game, we got to talk about injuries too. Let me pull this away for a second. We got to talk about injuries too. Juwan Bentley's done. Juwan Bentley's out. So that's a huge loss that the New England Patriots have to deal with. And again, middle of the field. Maybe it affects the run game. It probably will affect the run game a little bit, but middle of the field, slot. If you guys are just joining on TikTok and Instagram, we are live breakdown for the Thursday Night Football data. You can go to my profile, click the link in my bio, subscribe to my YouTube. That's where all this stuff is. Again, slot stuff. We noticed in week 1, Mike Williams barely played. It was all Tyler Conklin, Garrett Wilson from the slot. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I will double check that, but it was mainly Tyler Conklin, Garrett Wilson from the slot. Week 2, Mike Williams plays more. What does that mean? Allen Lazard's not leaving the field. He's still on the field. He's sliding inside. That would be over 60% of his slot routes came in week 2. So Mike Williams plays more. You expect him to play more this coming week. Allen Lazard shifts inside. I think right now that's where we're leaning. Fascinated to look at Conklin, but I think Lazard is where we're leaning in terms of the Jets offense. Now, let's move to Patriots offense versus this Jets defense. And now what I'm going to do first is pull up the Jets injury report because it's pretty important. They're banged up, man. They are banged up right now. Let me pull this up for everybody who's on the YouTube. They're banged up right now. And I think it's, again, middle of the field. Like, where's Jets? Middle of the field. It's really just CJ Mosley. He didn't participate yesterday. It's a short week. Probably not going to play if I had to guess. So important to think about that and move that while you look at this data. And again, CJ Mosley, it's a pretty big loss. So I would take that with a grain of salt, but kind of lean towards the improvement of all this stuff in the run game and the pass game. So let's pull up this Jets pass defense. And I'm really fascinated to see now coverage matrix, receiving, advanced receiving. It's loading for you guys right now. But I'm really fascinated to see where teams are targeting the Jets because I have a hunch it's inside. Like, I have a hunch it's more inside than anything. Interesting. Okay, so we pull this up right now. So it is inside. We're right. Slot rate, it's 11th highest in the NFL right now, 36.4%. But tight end, and the numbers sticking out to me right now, I'm going to sort it so we can see where it is in the rankings. Tight end. Oh, I just saw it. Oh, that's back. Excuse me. Tight end. Second highest rate. Second highest tight end rate. So what does that mean? And that's inline. Remember, that is inline. It's so important, especially if you guys are doing your data research on your own. That's inline tight end rate. Guys like Kyle Pitts, guys like Dalton Kincaid, guys like, I was actually looking, Brock Bowers. They run a ton of routes from the slot, not necessarily inline. So if you have two tight ends on the field, it's not always going to be like your tight end you're looking at is not always going to be the inline guy. Not going to be the inline guy. Let's check out the other targets. Highly doubt teams are targeting the Jets out wide. Yeah, fifth lowest. Running back, probably in the middle somewhere, right? 21. So again, the big leans here are inside. And I don't want to get into a trend with like inside receivers or inside players on Thursday Night Football. I don't think that's right. But last week we banked on the inside stuff and it was beautiful. It was really, really good. So I think that is probably where we lean. But let's go check out the receiving data for the Patriots. So Hunter Henry is obviously tight end. We want to make sure most of his routes are coming from inline, coming from that position in line on the offensive line, attached or detached. But we also want to see who the slot guys are because I'm really curious. There was no big, like, drastic change in the Patriots offense. So let's go inline, share the screen. So it's Hunter Henry at 1. So to me, sticks out immediately Hunter Henry. I don't really think we have to think much about it. I'm fascinated to see what the yards are, fascinated to see what the receptions are. If you guys are on YouTube and you want to comment too, what his yards are at and what his receptions at, I would appreciate that big time. You can go check out Sleeper Underdog, whatever it may be. And if you guys are watching on TikTok or Instagram right now, click the link in my bio. We are breaking down Thursday Night Football data live on YouTube. Subscribe there. If you missed any of it, it will be uploaded in like 4 hours, but get a head start on all this stuff. Let's go look in line, 20 routes for Hunter Henry, 5 targets. Ooh, but here's, again, where it gets really interesting. Slot routes. Demario Douglas is number 1. And again, if you guys didn't see it, the New York Jets allow the 11th highest slot target rate and the 2nd highest tight end rate. So Douglas with 39 routes, and he only has 2 targets, though. He only has 2 targets from the slot. But Hunter Henry, 2nd slot routes with 30. And he has 9 targets. Guys, do you understand how crazy it is to get targeted on almost 30% of the routes you run from the slot? Like that's pretty crazy. That's wild. So target per route run, again, the highest for sure. Route percentage, 2nd highest. He's running the routes from the slot. Inline stuff. Interesting. Austin Hooper. Ooh, interesting here. Okay, let's make note of the Austin Hooper. Because my guess is, I'm going to see if you guys typed in the yards and stuff here. Underdog Henry's 33.5, receptions 3.5. Yeah, like I like that a lot. If you guys are on here, go look at Austin Hooper. Somebody tell me what Austin Hooper's yards and catches are. Somebody tell me what Austin Hooper's yards and catches are. If you guys are on the socials and doing this too, you can do it too. But Hooper is getting targeted on 40%. That's really interesting. Okay. Good to know. Good to know, because I think like if his true projection is, less than 10, that might be something we look at too. I'm not going to lie. That could definitely be an area we look at. I'll come back to the chat in a minute here. But if you guys are watching on TikTok, if you're watching on Instagram, click the link in my bio. Go check out my live breakdown. We are currently breaking down Thursday Night Football live on YouTube. Obviously, subscribe if you're new, but we're breaking this down, giving you guys 9.5, 9.5. Like that might be a little sneaky way to look at it. And again, all the official stuff will be out tomorrow, but I want to make sure you guys are getting what the breakdown is here. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. So we will finish off with the rush defense for the New York Jets. Now, it's a defense that's been pretty good in the past. And eye test stuff, fine last week, but got torched against San Francisco. And I think it was a lot of zone stuff. This is why we do this. I'm going to fact check. I think it was a lot of zone stuff. I'm going to go through and look at some of the zone stuff right now. But this is why we fact check this, because we don't fully know what the deal is with the New York Jets run defense. So you pull it up. Overall yards per carry. The New York Jets are 13th, 4.7 yards per carry. Now, a large majority of that came with Jordan Mason. That's the reality of it. But I'm fascinated to see, were they better or worse in a specific area? They were worse against zone like I talked about, but it's not noticeable. So when you look at potential run scheme data for the New England Patriots offense, the only way I'd lean Ramondre Stevenson, his yards, is if the Patriots are super zone heavy. And to be fully honest with you, I don't know off the top of my head. That's why I'm going to look it up. But I tend to lean, especially on primetime games, like games that don't have game flow you're confident about, I tend to lean away from that. So zone heavy New England Patriots probably in the middle, right? New England Patriots are, where are they at? Oh, okay. All right. So they're less zone heavy. So they're 4 yards to carry on zone, but 5.47 in man gap, which is actually what, fifth highest in the NFL. So it is good to know that Patriots 5.47 in man gap. That is good to know. Now, I am going to go look at the Patriots rush data, individual Patriot rush data, because I'm really curious to see if the Patriots run a specific type of run with Antonio Gibson more than Ramondre, because Gibson gets his touches. That's the reality. Let's check this out. Man gap. No, it's pretty evenly distributed. So there's really no, although Antonio Gibson is averaging 7 yards a carry in man gap scheme runs. 7 yards a carry. All right. Somebody on the chat on YouTube, go tell me what Antonio Gibson's rush yards are. Somebody go tell me what Antonio Gibson's rush yards are. And again, if you guys are watching on TikTok and Instagram, click the link in my bio and go to my YouTube, subscribe there. We're doing a live breakdown of all the Thursday Night Football data. But I'm curious. Somebody go tell me what Antonio Gibson's rush yards are, because I think it could be really low in a close game where they're probably going to run the ball a good amount. 22.5. It's a lot. 21.5 is underdog. Okay. It's a lot. That's more than I thought. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So I'm going to stick away from that for right now, but it is definitely worth noting. It is definitely worth noting 7 yards per carry on those runs. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot. And it's, I said at the beginning of this breakdown too, got to take everything a little more like that with CJ Mosley out, man. What are Ramondre's yards? Somebody help me out with Ramondre here. What's Ramondre's yards at? Because, again, there's two schools of thought. The first school of thought is throw game flow away, especially when you're looking at your projections and things like that. But the second school of thought is like, if you're confident about the game flow in a game, like the team's going to blow somebody out, the team that's going to win is going to run more, the team that's going to lose is going to pass more. 66.5. Honestly, that excites me more than Gibson does. So it's good to know, but nothing in the matchup data like drastically sticks out about Ramondre. Like, he's better in man gap, and the Patriots are going to run more man gap, but the Jets don't have really a difference in their run scheme data. Okay, 64.5. Speaking to me now. I don't know. If I had to lean rush yards in somebody in this game, it would be Ramondre. But I think right now, let me take this off. First of all, I appreciate you guys hopping on and doing this little data breakdown with me. Right now, again, all full projections will be live on Instagram, X, and TikTok Thursday. So these are just leans. These are not full projections. Again, I got to cross-check with past data, everything like that. But right now, Allen Lazard looks really good. I like that a lot. Hunter Henry is probably our favorite one so far. Probably the favorite one. Austin Hooper excites me a little bit just because it's so low. It's, what do we say, 9.5 for Austin Hooper. And I might lean into that Tyler Conklin first quarter thing. Look at Ramondre too, but two guys we are for sure going to be on in some capacity: Hunter Henry, Allen Lazard. Again, I appreciate you guys hopping on. Obviously, if you're new, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. This will be, by the time you're seeing it, out just over 24 hours before Thursday Night Football. So make sure you hop on all this stuff. Again, I appreciate you guys hopping on. God bless y'all. I'll see you next time.